Hey man, say man, this is the A-Man Show back at it again for more content. So we're back again for more content, and right now we are near the end of the season, which is crazy to think about, but still there's enough sample size to really discuss who were the biggest disappointments of this playoffs, because there are quite many frauds out there in this playoffs where they got exposed really badly. Jalen, Duren, to name a few, and their performance and overall team has really changed the narrative in NBA discourse and the trajectory of each of their own franchises. So without further ado, I'm going to discuss the biggest disappointments of this year's playoffs. But first, make sure y'all subscribe. I post NBA content. My goal is to hit 1,000 subs by the end of this year. So subscribing and smashing the like button makes a big difference. So that out of the way, stay tuned and enjoy the video. Alright, so the first team that we have to discuss is the Denver Nuggets, specifically Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. I made a separate video on Nikola Jokic, and if y'all feel the need to watch this video for more in-depth information, here's the video on the top right corner. But going back to the Nuggets, they have been viewed as the team to beat at times in the regular season, where they had a great retooling offseason where they have bolstered the bench, such as getting Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, and bringing back Bruce Brown, coupled with the fact that they took the defending champs in OKC to 7 games in the second round. This looked like a team that is ready to take back the top of the NBA world, but unfortunately, their defense has not looked good enough to be a legit contender, despite them having a top offense this regular season. And it went south against their rival in Minnesota, where their offense, specifically Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, has been absolutely so bad on offense, but don't have the defense to rely on to make up their bad play on offense. After that performance where Nikola Jokic got outplayed and locked up by Rudy Gobert, but Jamal Murray also got outplayed by the likes of Jalen McDaniels. Despite Nikola Jokic putting up an all-time stinker against Minnesota, he's still the main focal point of this team going forward. And now you have to add in more 3-and-D guys around Jokic as he ages. Meanwhile, Jamal Murray, within the last 3 seasons, he has been a playoff choker and needs to be traded for a better second option for Jokic. That's yet to be determined for the Nuggets going into this offseason. The next disappointment I'm going to mention is the Houston Rockets. Even though the Rockets has went out sad this postseason, I didn't realize how bad Sengun, Smith Jr., and Sheppard has played in the first round. First and foremost, let's discuss Sengun here, because this was the playoffs where he proves to the league that he's a franchise player for the Rockets, and based on how he performed this postseason, he has looked very mediocre. And even me saying that is a huge understatement. In the first round on paper, it looked fine. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists per game. But for a non-shooting big man, he shot 47% from the field, which is very mediocre. And even early in this series, he was shooting 43, 27, and 65 splits. The reason being is that his offensive game is really unreliable. He has an ugly post game. He can't run the offense like a Jokic, and even with single coverage, DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes were extremely tough on Sengun, to the point where both of them were outplaying Sengun early in this series. And also, he proved why he is a liability on defense, because the Lakers were attacking him aggressively, especially on the pick and roll. Even though he had stronger performances in Game 4 and Game 5, he just didn't look like a guy that can carry a franchise despite him being this young. Also, Jabari Smith Jr., he didn't play well at all, especially shooting from the field. Shot 38% from the field, despite him averaging 18 points and 9 rebounds per game, and it's all due to his lack of a shot creation game and couldn't finish at the rim as he should. And Sheppard shot 30% from the field and 29% from 3 in that 6-game series. Sheesh. These performances from the Rockets' young core has really having me question if they can be the long-term guys going forward. Now, the Rockets are in a precarious situation. Do they trade away Sengun or KD? Hell, even Smith Jr. for a big market guy like Jalen Brown, and of course Giannis? It's going to be a very difficult offseason for the Rockets going forward. Now, the next disappointment on this list has to be Julius Randle, and he may not be up there in regards to how piss poor Jalen Duren has played this postseason, but that's very serious, man. He has to be on this list because of that. That San Antonio series was just inexcusable for Randle, man. 13 points, 8 rebounds while shooting 34% from the field and 19% from 3, and has a 43% true shooting percentage in all 6 games, was just beyond awful. To give you context of how bad Julius Randle was this series, he was tracked at just a .85 points per direct touch this postseason, making him the single most inefficient offensive player in the playoffs when scoring directly off of his touches since the 2014 season. And he's on the list as one of the most historically inefficient volume shooting power forwards of all time. He's on the list both times in 2021 and this year in regards to shooting from the field when attempting 15 to 20 shots per game. And even in that first round series against Denver, he wasn't even that good either. Like, how are you shooting 43% from the field and 30% from 3 against a horrid Denver defense? Like, how? Like, I knew from the beginning that Randle was a downgrade to Towns because they simply can't afford Towns long term. Well, if Minnesota wants to compete for a championship, they will have to risk and trade Randle along with multiple picks for a better player like a Markkanen in Utah, despite taking on his hefty deal. But that's what it takes for them to go to the next level or add more depth on a roster after getting rid of Randle. But aside from that, that Spurs series takes the case for Randle, and I'll be shocked if Randle is still in a Minnesota jersey next season. The next disappointment here has to be Jalen Duren, obviously. This list would not be complete if it weren't for Duren's performance this entire postseason, because this right here is one of the biggest back fumbles I've ever seen from a player since like Nerlens Noel or hell, Dennis Schroeder. Duren had a Wilt Chamberlain-like drop-off this postseason compared to the regular season. Now, I've mentioned Duren in that Pistons video I made earlier, so I'm not going to go too much on Duren, but since it's a disappointment video, I have to. So the dilemma goes for the Pistons in regards to how they're going to deal with Duren in the offseason, because he made an all-NBA team this season and he's due for a max contract. So hopefully they don't make that trigger and give him that contract, because if they do, then they're doomed for many seasons and therefore wasting Cade Cunningham's prime. You can't do that. So the Pistons have to figure out a way to get rid of Jalen Duren through a sign and trade, because he's not a guy that you will want to be a frontline piece going forward. And last but not least, a big disappointment has to be Donovan Mitchell. I'm not going to put Harden on this list because we all expected Harden to play like shit in the playoffs, but Mitchell, despite him making his first ever conference finals appearance, his performances have shown me that he is not a legit first option on a championship team. He just isn't. Even though his averages don't look that bad, but for a guy who had expectations to be a superstar player, he just isn't meeting those expectations. And when you watch the games, this dude was shooting his team out of games, and literally, and mind you, this guy is very tunnel vision. Like in the conference finals against the Knicks, three games, he's averaging more turnovers than assists. And in game 2, he only had 1 assist in 39 minutes. Like, how can you be a first option on a championship team and you not only shoot your team out of games while being a ball hog and can't create looks for other teammates? While his overall field goal percentage in this series isn't horrific, he's shooting like 46% from the field, he's settling for too many bad shots, and his efficiency has cratered over time. At 3, he's shooting 32% from that area in this series, and in game 3, a must-win game at home to avoid going down 3-0, he was a catastrophic -22 on the floor, turning the ball over 5 times and burning possessions with heavily contested looks. To be fair to him, he clearly looks exhausted. I mean, he has to completely carry a Cavs roster through a grueling 7-game series against Detroit, who's a fake 60-win team who was taken to 7 games against the Orlando Magic in the second round, including dropping 35 and 43 points in game 3 and game 4 just to keep them alive. But this is exactly what separates the stars from the absolute top tier superstars. When guys like Jokic or SGA get into late rounds, they find ways to impact the game with their passing gravity and pace even when their legs are gone. Mitchell is showing that if his isolation scoring isn't hyper efficient, he doesn't have a reliable plan B to keep his team's offense afloat against elite defenses. And by the way, RJ Barrett, out of all people, outplayed Mitchell for the majority of the first round. Just putting that out there. But anyways, guys, the Cavs are likely going to get swept by the Knicks this evening. And now you have questions whether to break this team apart and start over, because having Mitchell as their first option is only going to keep their ceiling capped moving forward. So the Cavs have many thinking to do with this roster this offseason. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know on the other disappointments I didn't mention in this video, and be sure to subscribe for more of my content in the future, and smash the like button if you enjoyed this video, and turn on post notifications. And as always, stay litty. This is the A-Man Show, signing out.